What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? This is going to be your review for Greenleaf, Season 5, Episode 7, The Seventh Day. Y'all, this episode was so good. Alright, let me just go on and get into it. They do not keep us in suspense. We open up, we find out what happened to Darius. Because, you know, I've looked at a lot of reviews, and we have all had some varying opinions. I was hoping that Darius was not dead. You know, for the exception of Matt in that first season, we ain't had a whole lot of people just dying. So I was really hoping that it would be like, you know, excuse me, they beat him up and left him on the side of the road somewhere or whatever. We find out what happened was they had set him up and had him arrested. Supposedly he was high on PCP and resisting arrest. Grace found him. She went and bailed him out of jail. She thought he was going home. He said, I ain't going home. I'm about to go interview these people I told you about Evendale Linden. Like, this has inspired me even more to figure out what's going on. And then he hit Grace with the, so, you know, I'm going to see you later though, right? She was like, yeah, boo, I'll see you later. I said, that's right, Grace. Go and work your way back around to that man. Then we see the bishop. The bishop said that this is the day they're supposed to be tearing down the church. Bishop said, goes to Lady May. He said, listen, we can sit here and we can wallow in this mess today, or we can take hold of it. We can have a good day, he said. And he's bringing her breakfast in bed, and he gave her her ring. He found her original wedding ring or engagement ring or whatever. Because she was like, well, where did you find this? He said, in the safe deposit box. He said, now, last time I asked you to marry me with this ring, you said yes. He said, now, I know you've been wanting to wait till Flag Day. Who the hell celebrates Flag Day? But whatever. He said, but let's do it today. And something in my spirit told me Bishop knows exactly what's wrong with him. We know that something's wrong with Bishop. We've been building up to that all season. He wouldn't go to his physical last week. Bishop knows exactly what's wrong with him. And I feel like Bishop feels like he's on the clock. Because he keeps pressuring Lady May, like, let's get this done today. Lady May said, listen, I can't walk down the aisle with you until we are on one accord. And until we can agree on what to do with this house and how to carry the situation with this house, I don't know how we can move forward. Bishop said, listen, ain't no moving forward. In no way, shape, or form am I going to be okay with you giving anything connected to Rochelle any parts of my house. He said, I need you to understand something. She wants me dead. So that didn't end well. Lady May was like, okay, well then, you know, it is what it is, bruh. You know, you're going back to the guest bedroom then. He comes down the steps. He runs into AJ. AJ is there to get ready on this car. Get ready, you know, get this thing started on this car. And of course, they have this thing where Bishop forgets what he's there for. It's like, oh, that's right. You're here for the car. He said, meet me down by the car in 30 minutes. So they get down there and AJ doesn't know where to start. Let's be clear. Ain't nobody opened this box yet. It's been sitting there for 40 years. I can't imagine anything in that box is any good. Like, I mean, I know metal doesn't dry rot, but like I keep expecting. Okay, sidebar for a second. Y'all know how Kevin Hart said that you know, early on in his career, he was broke, ain't had no money, and his mother kept telling him to read the Bible, read the Bible, read the Bible. He said, Mom, the Bible ain't gonna help me. I'm broke. I'm doing this fast, so y'all get it. And she kept saying, you gotta have faith, read the Bible. You gotta have faith, read the Bible. And when he finally sat down to read the Bible, it was like his rent check for like 3 or 4 months. Like she had just put checks in there. And I feel like that's the situation with the car. Like he never brought himself to open up that box because he said his father was trying to teach him a lesson. I feel like when he opened that box, it's not what he thinks is in there because he ain't never opened the box. At this point, I don't know if we ever gonna see what's in that box. But neither here nor there. Him and AJ started having a conversation about being saved. You know, AJ lets him know, listen, I ain't never really been to church. Church wasn't never my thing growing up. And Bishop said, listen, but if you want to get saved, you can get saved now. Like, it's just a matter of, you know, he goes through the whole thing about being saved and devoting yourself to Christ and so forth. And he said, you know, honestly, that would be, you know, I can't force you to do it, you know, but just know that I'm here when you're ready. And it would, you know, make me happy if that's what you want to do. And you see him and AJ just keep having these moments. Zora, on the other hand, is ready to get to New York. She hits, you know, Jacob is sitting there looking at pictures of Winky. And she's like, so have you talked to Mama yet? And he was like, okay, but she just left yesterday. He said, she just left yesterday, but I need to know if you talked to mama because I'm still trying to get to New York. My flight leaves tonight. He was like, I told you to cancel that flight. I told you that I would take care of it. You know, we'll buy you a new ticket and we'll get you straight, but you ain't going tonight. Like today is just ain't the day. And she was like, well, I found, a backup plan. I found me a little apartment. I know it's a little hole in the wall and ain't real big, whatever, but it is what it is. He said, Zora, we're going to look at it. I'm going to talk to your mama, but today ain't the day. Cancel your flight. We're going to do all of this in decency and in order, but we agreed that you can go to New York, so chill out. I need you to just calm down. Chill out. I don't know what got this fire under Zora that she just got to get out and she has to leave now. I don't know what it is. Now, Grace decided that she said, she was talking to Aaron, and Aaron said since they didn't disclose that this company that sold that Jacob and Carissa sold their land to didn't disclose themselves as a A&H holding company, that they could get a temporary injunction on bulldozing the church until a judge decides whether there was some sort of real estate fraud. So Aaron and Grace were able to get the injunction, and so they go rolling down to the church, stop the bulldozer, because Bob ain't even in town yet, because Bob has this big announcement he wants to make. So he's there to make, he wants the bells and whistles. So he's taking his sweet time getting down there. The bulldozers ain't even moved yet. And they get down there, and they were able to get the injunction. But Fernando, that was Fernando last week. I thought it was Fernando, but I wasn't sure that it was Fernando. But neither here nor there. Fernando is down there, and he says to Grace, he said, your brother may not have known. Oh, but his wife knew. His wife knew exactly who we were. And she was cool with it. Matter of fact, it made her giddy a little bit that she was pulling one over on the family. So, honey, Grace called Jacob and said, listen, you need to talk to your wife. You need to find out if your wife knew who this who this church, who this land belonged, like who this company was, because that's going to throw that's going to throw this whole thing in the tailspin if she says, yeah, I knew, because both of y'all were equal signatories. Honey, he calls Clarissa. Now, Clarissa, if you ever thought you had a shot in hell of getting back in Jacob's good graces, girl, you probably should have lied. But she told the truth. She said, Jacob, I hate to tell you, but yeah, I knew. And Jacob was like, all right. You saw it all over his face. Like, that was it. If the coffin was closed and there was 3 nails, that was the last one. That was the last nail that the coffin closed on their marriage. Baby, there is no coming back from this, okay? Now, Lady Mae has decided that a fair compromise with Rochelle will be to sell off some of the acreage of the house and give them the money. Bishop is against it. He said anything you give them is going to look like we are buying them off, and it's going to look like I am guilty. And I've done nothing wrong. I ain't guilty of shit. Well, he didn't say shit. I say shit. But Lady Mae went on and to talk to her anyway. And I'm sorry. Lady Mae went and Tara said, listen, I'm just going to be real with you. Rochelle don't even want this house. Rochelle wants, she wants basically Bishop to admit that he did something wrong. And she said, at the end of the day, we're not working together. Like, that is still my sister. That was my father that was killed in that fire. I don't feel exactly how she feels, but let's be clear. We are not allies in this. Like, I'm not going to work with you against my sister. I'm just trying to figure out the best way to resolve the situation because I really don't want no strife. You see what I'm saying? She was like, I need you to understand that. And Lady Mae was like, okay, well, then I don't really see how we can move forward. Like, I thought we was working on something here, but clearly we were not. So, so with that being said, she closed her little iPad up and basically dismissed Miss Tara. And I said, oh, we saw a little fire in Tara. We hadn't seen that little feistiness in Miss Tara. You know what I'm saying? Now, honey, Zora got it in her head that she can get if she can get Sophia to agree to go with her to New York, they can, basically use Grace's money to help finance their New York move. And Sophia was like, listen, one minute you telling me I need to go back to Hampton. The next minute you telling me that, you want me to move to New York. She said, I know you only want me to move to New York because you think you're going to have my mother's money. Zora going to say, that's not true. Well, that's partially true. But at the end of the day, she was like, she said, and let's not forget, like you said, you told my mama about them pictures. Now, I ain't a bit more believe that she told her mama about the pictures to the Man in the Moon, because that ain't nothing Grace gonna sit on. I don't care what else Grace had going on. Grace would have marched her ass right up to Sophia and had a conversation. And Sophia know her mama too. I don't know why you thought that girl was telling you the truth. You know good and damn well your mama didn't know about them pictures. But Zora said something on her way out the door that made me very curious. She said, think about it. It could be a TV show. And they said there's going to be a spinoff to Greenleaf. We just ain't figured out what the spinoff is or what it's going to look like. I really hope it's not going to be like a Zora and Sophia take Manhattan kind of situation. I'm not here for that. I can't do 60 minutes of Zora and Sophia. No disrespect. I can't. Please don't let that be the spinoff. Please don't. But moving on. Noah done found the groundskeeper, right? This man is still alive. Noah done found him, and he said, yeah, I never did understand why this woman let this Negro come in here, and he did say Negro, come in here and talk to him, but he said that Davis was downright disrespectful. He would come in there and he would talk to that woman any kind of way. He says, and there were a few times I even thought he might get violent with her. He said, and it just never made sense to me, why she allowed it. And Grace said, well, do you know what their connection was? And he was like, he was like, I don't know, but it just didn't make sense. She said, but do you think they could have been lovers or something? He was like, lovers? No, they weren't lovers. She said, why? Because he was black? He was like, you really don't know, right? Child, come to find out, the woman that owned that house was Davis's mama, which makes her Rochelle and Tara's grandmama. Now, here's my thing, and my lawyers going to jump into that chat. If she had a will that left the land to them, it is still valid. Like, just because they found out they had a blood tie to that woman doesn't automatically make that their house by default. Maybe morally, but still not legally. People leave stuff to people that's not family members all the time. Now, when they don't have a will is when there's a problem. But when they have a will, it's like, I left it to them, I ain't leave it to you. Anyway, child, anyway. But Grace and Noah they were like, oh, snap. So they immediately beeline back to the house and let the bishop know, listen, I hate to be the one to tell you, but we done figured out what the connection is. And baby, you are not going to believe, but Davis, the caretaker, the woman who owned this house, Davis was her son. They don't know who the daddy is, but they know that that's the mother. So Bishop was like, oh, also while this is going on, Charity then went down to the church. Charity said, what I will not do, she said, I might not be able to do a whole lot, but if I got to give up this house, if this house no longer belongs to me, I'm going to stop that church from being knocked down. Charity then wrote an email to everybody at the church telling them about Bob Whitmore. Come to find out, Bob Whitmore, the big announcement is that he was going to use the demolition of the church as his announcement for his campaign that he was running for Senate. Now, I don't know why he thought that would be a good backdrop, but okay, that was the backdrop. So now we have the bishop saying, you know what? Rochelle, when they found that out, they invited Rochelle and Tara over to the house to let her know. And of course, Tara was like, so what does that mean? That means that, the house belongs to me now? Rochelle was like, listen, I never wanted the house. All I wanted was the truth. All I wanted was for you to tell me, and see, what you didn't want was the truth. You wanted him to say he did something he didn't do. You kept wanting him to say that he killed your daddy, and he kept telling you, I didn't kill your daddy. I had nothing to do with it. I didn't kill your daddy. So she keeps saying that that's what she wants, but that's not what she wants. So finally the bishop said, listen, call Tara and Rochelle, tell them to meet me down to the church. I'm going, y'all want the truth? I'm going to give y'all the truth. And of course, Lady Mae was like, what? Oh, hell no. He said, Trust me. Let's get down here to the church and let's go ahead and tell it. If we're going to tell it, we're going to tell it like it is. Now, the other thing that's going on, and again, all this was happening like... The other thing they found out, Darius and got the information they need to prove that A&H was predatory lending. He got basically enough of his documents back. He had the whole list of all of their lender. I mean, all the people they the houses, loan money for their houses, and they had the story from that one couple that basically said, "Listen, we sorry about that. We bought these houses, and they refinanced our house, and the minute we were a little bit late on our loan, they called the loan in, and they were able to buy a house for pennies on the dollar. Come to find out, it was like 200 and something. Well, I don't want to put a number. It was a lot of people, and Philip's mama's name was on every single loan document. Nothing about Bob Whitmore, nothing about A&H. It was just her. Her name was on everything. So they get down to the church, honey. By the time they get to the church, they got people. The church is full like Sunday morning, okay? The congregation is full. Of course, you see, you girl Connie there and everybody else. Corinne is there with her grandmama. All the usual suspects are down to the church, right? And before Bishop gets a chance to get in there good, Bob is in there trying to talk to them, and he's pacifying them, and he's doing that good old, "Oh, I don't know what the problem is. Oh, y'all came and got me, and I saved y'all from the big bad Greenleafs." And, and Charity is like, "Well, tell them about Evendale Linden. Like, what's that about?" And they're asking questions. They were like, "We want to know what's in this email. This email says something about, that you, that you had some predatory lending business. And he lying and talking around it until Darius coming in with the proof. But of course, they looking crazy because they like, "Well, we thought we deleted and got rid of all the damn proof, and we thought we scared him enough to keep the hell away from us." But no, he came in there with the proof to show that all of those loans, well, the majority of those loans went to black families, and they stole those people's houses. They had the documentation to prove it, and that Phil's mother was on every single one of those documents, baby. Phil was like, "You know what? I never knew what my mother did for a living." He said, "But I knew when my mother was on her deathbed, she was worried about God forgiving her. And I kept wondering, what could it possibly mean? Why wouldn't God want to forgive you? Like, what did you do so bad that God wouldn't forgive you?" And he said, "But I think I figured it out. Baby." Bob tried to call him son. He said, "You are not my son." He asked Julie for his ring back, for his mama's ring back, honey. She done threw the ring on the floor. Then here come Bishop. I cannot do it justice, so I'm not even gonna try. That speech Bishop gave up on that pulpit, well, I guess it wasn't pulpit, stage, I guess, for lack of a better word. I can't do it justice. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Y'all gonna have to go look at Greenleaf, or if you saw Greenleaf, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But basically, what the bishop said was, "Listen, Mac told me to go talk to this woman about this house because she didn't have any children and she didn't have anybody to leave the house to. And I talked to that woman, and I told her my vision, and convinced her that I would do right by the house, and I had what I would do with it." He said, "I knew about the fire, but I never made the connection." He said, "Maybe I should have. Maybe I should have made the connection, but I never did. In my mind, it was a blessing. It was God's will. It was what God made, and I never made the connection that fire precipitated her needing somebody to leave that house to." He said, "I took the equity. I was able to get a loan and use that house as collateral and build this church." And he said, and that was the beginning of me justifying sin for the greater good. It's basically what he said. He said, "I would let little things slide, and I would let, certain things go for the greater good." He said, "And I took advantage of everybody in here. I took advantage of you all's faith in me. I took advantage of your love for me and all of that." He said, "And even my family paid the price." And Corinne was the first one to step up and say, "Bishop, you ain't do what's wrong. And of course, everybody then started standing up, including his family. And the family walked down to comfort Bishop. And guess who walked down there with him? That damn AJ. I said, you better go down that aisle, AJ. So AJ walked down the aisle, and it was a moment. So then Bob was like, well, shoot, let me get on out of here. He said, I ain't done. I ain't done. He said, Bob, I done told you your days are numbered. He said, you might be able to do a lot, but what you won't do is knock this church down on this day. He said, Rochelle, I know that ain't what you wanted, but that's all I got. I told the truth. That's the truth. You may not like it. You may not want to accept it, but that's the truth. And it was just this moment where you just saw it all come off of Bishop. You saw it all come, the burden, you saw it all come off of Bishop. And in my mind, I said, I just knew. Okay. So then we see Rochelle rolling out because, she mad now. She big mad, And Grace came up to her and Grace was like, you happy now? You satisfied? She said, all I ever wanted was the truth. No, because he'd been telling you that from day one. So you clearly didn't want the truth. You had already decided that Bishop was guilty and you wanted revenge. That's what you wanted. But okay. She said, well, I want to thank you. Rochelle was like, for what? She said, I want to thank you for giving Noah AJ's phone number, giving AJ Noah's phone number. Rochelle was like, yeah, I did that. She said, I just wanted you to know that you're no better than the rest of us. She said, matter of fact, maybe even worse for leaving your child like that. Grace was like, I'll take that. She said, but in the long run, thank you. You brought me my son. I appreciate it. Rochelle was like, yeah, what up, bitch? Then we see Grace and Darius having a moment, they kissing and, she said, I'll meet you back over here later, We see Sophia get ready to have a conversation with Grace later on. Now, I don't know what decision Sophia made. I don't know if Sophia decided that she was going to go with Zora. We never really see that, but she said, well, Mom, I want to talk to you about the pictures. I know they were wrong for me to send them to Darius, but I'll never do it again. She was like, what? What pictures? I said, see, what made you, again, if your mama hadn't brought them pictures up, girl, see, I ain't never been one to invite trouble. If your mama ain't bring them pictures up, why you bring them pictures up? Girl. Child. Then we see Phil running after Charity, right? Charity getting ready to leave the church and Phil running after Charity. And he was like, Charity, I just, I just wonder if we could talk tomorrow. She said, talk about what? He said, I don't know. I just, I just want to talk. He said, Charity, listen, you didn't deserve what I did to you. And I just want you to know I love you. I've always loved you. Charity said, Phil, look, I appreciate what you did, Nick, because there was a part where he stood up and he defended, he said that, I told you what he said about his mother. She said, listen, I want to thank you for what you did. But please understand, no man, including the father of my child, has ever been able to hurt me the way you did. You broke my heart into 1,000 pieces. She said, and I will never trust you with it again. So, no thank you. Have a nice life. Last but not least, we see Lady Mae with her lingerie on. She got the bosom out. She lotioning down, honey. She putting the perfume on. And she is about to give it to Bishop. Okay? She is about to give it to Bishop. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I thought she was going to find him laying in bed dead. I ain't going to lie. That's what I thought. But he was sitting up. He had the Bible in his hand. But what happened was he's having a stroke. And he can't talk. So she ends up calling 911 and he was like, pen, because he can't talk. But he's like motioning for a pen. So she gives him a pen and he starts writing. Now, I thought he was going to write, I love you. But he wrote, I do. Because she was saying, Bishop, I want to get married. I'm ready to get married. I was being contrary this morning. But first thing tomorrow, let's do it. And he said, I love you. And that's where the episode ended, with her crying, him laying across the bed. She done called 911. I want to say Grace came in the room, but it might have just been the two of them. But baby, I said, y'all not going to do this to me right here at the end. But they did. It was so good, y'all. It was so, so good. Y'all let me know what y'all think, though. Drop it in those comments. Peace.